Hello, this is Mike at GameFromScratch, bringing you some, I suppose we'll call it good news about Unity, or at least fixing some sort of bad news about Unity. Now, if you've been following the channel, the end of May, there was an announcement from Unity that were changing their pricing. I did a video about it earlier, basically called Unity Pricing Changes. I'll link this down below, but there's an in-depth video basically explaining the changes they made. And essentially what they did was added a new tier called Plus, which was absolutely useless, beyond useless. Nobody was interested in it because it still had the same revenue limitations as Personal. And on top of that, you still had to display a splash screen. So you're basically paying $35 for access to cloud services from Unity that nobody wants. So it was a really useless tier they implemented there. And then on top of that, they switched out Pro. And Pro was done at $125 per month pricing for all platforms. Now, where this kind of sucked is if you were one of those people that just paid $1,500 to buy Unity versions outright, they've gone away from that. Now it is pure subscription only. And a lot of people didn't like this, especially if you were a single platform developer. This represented a pretty massive price increase, like double price increase. So there was a lot of kickback or blowback over this decision. Well, thankfully, just today, Unity have announced some revisions to this pricing. Basically, they listened to their community, and I think their community yelled at them pretty good. And they've made most of these damaging changes not so damaging. So let's go through exactly what they've changed today. Now, first off is that Plus tier. That Plus useless tier is no longer useless. In fact, it's exactly what it should have been all along. It's the ability to take the free version and remove the splash screen. And that's what people have been crying for. So it's got a revenue limitation, just like the free version. However, there is no screen, splash screen up front. There's no Made with Unity logo. So that is definitely cool news. The other bit of news on that tier is they also doubled the limitation. So now it's 200K of revenue you can earn on that one. So now you have to make over $200,000 before you have to jump up to the Pro tier. So suddenly that $35 a month tier is much more valuable. However, there is a catch. Part of this is that tier is not eligible for the rent-to-own program, which I'll get into in a second, and you have to subscribe for a minimum of 1 year. So you're looking at $35, so $350 plus 70, so $420 a year for the Plus package. So you know, there is a downside there, but it is now very much useful. There are a lot of people out there that are using the Personal but don't want that splash screen. So this is cool, but you're not going to be able to just subscribe for 1 month, publish without the splash screen, and go from there. You need to subscribe for at least a year. So that's the catch on the Plus. But definitely now that is, in fact, a useful tier. So that is nice. And on top of that, there are actually some advantages to Plus beyond access to cloud services. Didn't capture them here. Okay, never mind. But it gives you access to some assets in the asset store on a periodic basis, etc. So, and of course, there is access to those cloud services such as analytics and ads, etc. So the Plus tier is now quite useful. Now, at the same time, the people that were paying into this newly created Pro tier, this $125 a month tier, they were also addressed in this update as well. And this is actually good to see. So what they've done there is they've changed the pricing on it. So if you have an existing license, you will now get a special rate. They'll email you shortly for up to 5 seats. So if there's 5 developers or less in your organization, you're going to get the option to do it at $75 a month, which is the original pricing of just one platform. So basically, you're now going to be able to get all 3 platforms for the price of 1. So it is a win now, and that brings the pricing in line if you just renewed. So that's cool. The other announcement they've done there is they've brought in the pay-to-own option. So the pay-to-own option basically says is after 2 years of paying for Unity, you own it at that point. You can use it in perpetuity, except you no longer get updates. Well, they've now said after 2 years, you'll get 3 more patches, and then that's it. So they've just given you a little bit more runway there. So all around, they've actually done mostly a good job of addressing all of the concerns of their users. So hopefully this works out well. People that are in this tier, at least for this limited transition period, so we don't know exactly what that's going to be, but they are being taken care of. So they're not getting screwed straight out on March of 2017, which was the drop dead date for anyone that had bought an existing license. So that is definitely a cool move. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that pay to own, so that basically after paying 2 years worth of payments, you own it outright. That does not apply to Plus. So I just want to reiterate that again. And there's one other change in all of this that I think people are actually going to be pretty delighted to see. And I think this is a good move on Unity's behalf. Is what they've done is they've changed it, or they're changing it. This hasn't actually happened yet, but this is coming. Is the new splash screen will read "Made with Unity" in all editions of Unity. Keeping in mind, it's completely optional on the Plus and the Pro tiers going forward, so you don't have to use that splash screen. But it no longer mentions the personal edition, so it doesn't look like you're using the freebie version, even if you're using the freebie version. So that's a nice branding change, because it did give Made with Unity games that were tagged with personal edition a very amateurish look, regardless to how good the game actually was. If you saw that logo, you went, eh. So this is getting rid of that, which is nice. The other nice thing is they're also making it so you're going to be able to customize the Made with Unity logo, or Made Unity splash screen with your own logos and branding. Don't know exactly what this is going to mean, and it's not available yet, but this is going to be in all tiers. So even the free tier, you're going to be able to put your own branding on the Made with Unity screen. Don't know exactly what the details are going to be, but that is another great move. So from today's news, in quick summary, the free tier now has the ability to somewhat brand, or is going to shortly have the ability to somewhat brand the Made with Unity screen. The personal edition tag is now no longer part of that, which is great. On the Plus tier, it is now actually useful. For that $35 a month, you now have the ability to not have that splash screen at all. I know something that many people are looking forward to. And then the other aspect of that is your revenue limitation. From the personal edition is 100 grand. Now it's 200 grand with the Plus edition. So it gives you a little bit more runway before you actually have to pay for the full Pro version. It's both great changes there in my opinion. And then the Pro version, once again, the two changes they've done there. One is they've extended, so after you finish the rent to own, you get a further 3 patches, so that's a nice move. And then on top of that, they're going to do transitioning prices for existing customers down at $75 a month instead of the $125 it's available now. So basically, they're paying the same rate someone would do if they were using a single platform, but they're going to get all of the platforms for that amount. So that's some good service they've done there. Again, we don't know exactly what limited transition period means, but nonetheless, it's a nice move that they've done here. So that's it all around. Definitely some good moves from Unity, definitely correcting some of the massive errors they made in rolling out their earlier pricing. I think the Pro tier, the Plus tier is going to actually be quite appealing to a lot of indie developers. Most people's sticking point was actually that Made with Unity flash tag. And the funny thing about that splash screen is it was actually degrading their brand. So when you had all these crap games that are throwing up that splash screen, it gave people more of a negative impression of Unity than they should have had. Unity is a very capable of engine, but all of these people that have kind of jumped into it and thrown up basically crap with that logo on, you're degraded your brand over time. So this move is actually going to help that for sure. Removing that personal edition is definitely the right move. And being able to remove it completely from the Plus and the Pro tier is, again, for the people that want to, that's excellent. So that was it. That was the recently released news. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're a Unity developer, let me know what you think. This is going to save them some face for sure. I don't know if the damage is done. I don't know if people actually jumped ship when they said they were going to. I don't know if people looked at the new pricing and went, yeah, I'm okay with it. So let me know down below in the comments. Are you mollified? Did they fix enough? Is this a good enough move on their behalf? Personally, I think it is. I think they've actually changed their pricing in a way that isn't screwing existing customers, which is exactly what they needed to do. And I think implementing that new Plus tier with no splash screen, that's what I wanted to be when they announced it in the first place. So I think that's a great move. I think they're going to make more money there that they're currently not making off of free subscribers. And I think there are a lot of people actually willing to pay that kind of money for Unity, it's $35 a month for, small market games. So I think that one is a great move and what they should have done all along. Now they did flub this pricing change in the past, so let's hope some of the goodwill came back with this release. But again, let me know in the comments down below. And here on GameFromScratch, we do this kind of coverage all the time. If you want to stay up to date on the latest game dev news, please do click subscribe. We do this kind of stuff. We do tutorials, reviews, you name it, all kinds of stuff game dev related here on this channel. So hope you enjoyed that. See y'all later.